Shane Garst graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology from Cal Poly in 2005. He graduated with a BSN from Azusa Pacific in 2009 and worked as an RN at UC San Diego Medical Center in their burn ICU. He was fascinated by the field of anesthesia and served as a primate anesthesia assistant in the San Diego Zoo. In 2015, he graduated with his Master of Science in Nursing and Nurse Anesthesia from the University of Akron, earning the Outstanding Student Award both his junior and senior years. He's the creator and developer of the ABG Stat iPhone and Android app for Impact RN. He currently practices clinical anesthesia at UC San Diego Medical Center in La Jolla Hillcrest and is earning his DNAP from Missouri State University in Springfield. Please welcome Shane Garst.
Hello, my name is Shane Garst, like you said. First off, thank you all for being here. I'm currently in progress to complete my nurse anesthesia doctorate from Missouri State. I currently work at University of California, San Diego, and surgery centers in and around San Diego County. My passion has always been the business side of anesthesia. When I started out a few years ago, Juan Quintana and the AMA did an amazing job with the Business of Anesthesia Conference. I learned an awful lot from him, and he has always been there to answer my questions over the years. It was very informative, but I noticed there really wasn't a simplified checklist, which in anesthesia, we have to have a checklist for everything. I wanted to get more specific because I do get asked a lot by the newer CRNAs and students about how to start a business and what to look for. The review of the literature found widespread support for the use and implementation of a Business of Anesthesia curriculum. The goal is to design a curriculum for the anesthetist incorporating the business of anesthesia in today's healthcare environment. All studies reviewed only touched on a small portion of the 8 core modules that I created, along with an infographic for the curriculum for the Business of Anesthesia and the Blades of Success. To be an entrepreneur, to own your own business, you must have the foundation. To date, I have no knowledge of anyone creating an all-inclusive Business of Anesthesia course, just individual lectures on certain topics. The Blades of Success is a compilation of what I've learned and found to be most important regarding the business of anesthesia. I will briefly talk about the 8 modules. 1, incorporation, name, logo, S Corp versus LLC, tax implications and attorney consultation. 2, recruitment, CRNAs, MDAs, and staffing. 3, scheduling, full-time, part-time, per diem, nights, weekends, call. 4, billing, base units, time units, conversion factors, and reimbursement. 5, contracting, multiple payers and insurance rates. 6, credentialing, privileges and malpractice insurance. 7, compensation, benefits, payments, 1099 versus W-2, pros and cons. And 8, marketing, acquiring contracts, and networking. Number 1, incorporation. Incorporation means setting up a business that will be viewed as a separate entity from its owners. There are many advantages, including protection from personally being sued, as well as your personal assets are protected. It all starts with the name. It's all about first impressions. It's the first thing the customer interacts with. A name says a lot about the person and makes a powerful impression. The shorter, the better when coming up with a name. It is your unique trademark on the anesthesia community. Logo. The importance of a logo can be a unique cornerstone for your company. Your company's identity will be expressed through the logo. I'm going to talk about S Corporation versus LLC, limited liability corporation. So for an S Corp, it's more formal, more timely filing of paperwork, requires meticulous record keeping, requires annual meetings, has articles of incorporation as opposed to LLC, which is articles of organization. It does not pay federal income taxes. It's used as a pass-through. And in California, has an $800 annual franchise tax fee. For LLC, Limited Liability Corp, it's easier to form and maintain. It has articles of organization. You must file a statement of information with the Secretary of State. It's considered a flow-through entity. And if there's greater than one member, it's taxed as a partnership. The income and loss forms 1065 and K1. And there's also an $800 annual franchise tax fee in California. Tax implications and an attorney consultation. Are you going to be solo or with multiple partners? LegalZoom is a great resource with people to talk to about incorporating. And if partnering, an attorney consultation is a good resource to have a plan in writing. Next, recruitment, CRNAs, MDAs, and staffing. First priority is license verification online. You want to check the state RN and CRNA license to make sure they're active and see if there are any accusations attached. Sometimes there'll be attached police reports of any occurrences. In California, the licenses are separated, and one might be clean and the other suspended, so hopefully they'll be changing that in the future. And start providers is 1099. If the provider does not get along with the surgeon, you won't be doing anesthesia there for long. And then eventually the goal is transition to W-2 employees. And as you transition to W-2, you want a blanket malpractice insurance policy in addition to any individual malpractice the provider carries. Staffing, what are your goals? Are you going to have multiple locations with multiple providers? There are non-compete clauses, however they are not valid in California, but some other states will allow them. Scheduling, full-time, part-time, per diem, nights, weekends, vacation. Have a list of providers and their availability. What is your volume going to be at your surgery centers? Credentialing, each provider needs to be credentialed at each site. If you're going to do cash pay, no credentialing is required with the insurance companies, just each individual surgical site will require credentialing. A good routine is to have the provider call the patient the night before to have any last-minute pre-op questions, NPO status. And surgery centers should have all of this complete a week before with medications, EKGs, and x-rays. And remember that there are no sick days in outpatient. Have dependable and reliable CRNAs. Next, billing, base units, time units, conversion factors, and reimbursement. The base units are based off the relative value guide. Base unit is listed for the anesthetic management of most surgical procedures. The base unit is a reflection of difficulty and skill required for the procedure. The base units do not change. There's no time involved. And they include pre-ops, IV fluids, non-invasive monitoring, blood pressure, pulse ox. And with multiple procedures, only the anesthesia code with the highest base unit is reported. And there are add-on units, they're called modifying units, and some are ASA 3, 4, and 5. They receive extra base units, 1, 2, and 3 respectively. And also arterial lines, TEs are also add-on units. Time units. Each anesthesia procedure takes a certain amount of time. Any portion of 15 minutes equals 1 time unit. If the anesthesia procedure takes 45 minutes, that equals 3 time units. The time units will be added to the base units. Time begins when the anesthetist begins to prepare the patient for care in the operating room or the equivalent area. And time ends when the anesthetist is no longer in personal attendance and post-anesthesia supervision. Conversion factors, there are costs assigned to each unit. They vary across the U.S. and specific to location. Currently, in San Diego, the Medicare rate is $22. The commercial national average, according to the ASA, is $71. And this is a range of $20 to $180 per unit. So I'm going to go over just a typical scenario, a total anesthesia charge, where you add the number of units, base units and time units, times the conversion factor, and that equals the anesthesia charge. I'm just going to do a typical scenario on a typical day. I know Mike McKinnon will talk more about this later, about the compensation for the yearly rates. So let's do Medicare at $22 a unit. A typical GI case is 30 minutes. We'll do 3 days plus 2 time equals 5 units. 5 times 22 is 110 per case. If you do 15 cases per day, that's $1,650. And we do the same for ortho, 5 cases a day at 8 units. That's 8 times 22 times the 5 equals $880. And then here, we'll do the commercial rate, $71 for the same typical GI case. That's 3 days plus 2 times equals 5 units. That's $355 per case. Do 15 cases per day. That's $5,325. So that's a difference between commercial and Medicare of $3,675. And for those same ortho cases, it's $2,840. The difference is $1,960. So